Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. I want to wish you all a happy new year. First day of the year. It's always a good day. Got the day off. That's why it's so good. I want to thank you all. I reached the 900 subscriptions very late last night, but just before midnight, I was there. And I owe that all to you people who come and watch my channel. It's a pleasure to do this every week. I get lots of questions, lots of people making comments. It's all great stuff. It really fires me up to do more. And I'm glad to be back here. This will now be my fourth year of doing this. The first year I started on August the 1st in the first year, although my channel actually says that I was around since 2016 or 2018, but I had started it as something else and it didn't work out, so I kind of left it blank for a while. And then when I decided to do this channel, I said, well, I've already got a YouTube site, so I went back and I opened it up. I changed everything around, and on August the 1st of 2021, I started the channel. Didn't really know what I was getting into, but I was enthusiastic about it because I've been watching other channels do this kind of stuff, and I thought, I like this a lot. I enjoyed watching all their videos and stuff, so I can do this, so I'm going to attempt to do it, and it's been a great thing for me because it's really inspired me to get fully into the music scene that I've always loved and discovered an absolute ton of bands. When I started, I probably knew 50 or 60 bands fairly well. Now I've got probably over 300 bands that I follow. So anyways, what we're doing today is we're doing a list. I like doing lists because it makes me think about the albums that I like. So the list we're doing today is my favorite 25 albums from my playlist that were in my playlist for 2024. So for those of you who watch my playlist show, you know what I do is every week I have a list of, once a month I do this playlist thing where I talk about what I'm playing in my playlist and how long the albums have been on there, which albums are my favorite currently, which albums are new going in there, which albums are coming out of the playlist. So I put this list together based on the albums that were on my playlist for this year. So it's not an easy task because there was a lot of albums on the playlist. Many of them I haven't been listening to for a while yet because I've been on to the new stuff, of course, as we always are. But I decided to make it fair. Some of the albums that were kind of more in last year than they were in this year, I decided they were going to get a little bit less of a rating because they already had their rating kind of the year before. It's the same now. The albums that are kind of going to be in the list mostly next year, not going to get as good a rating as they would have got. But the albums that are like their bulk of their stuff is in this year, getting the full ratings. Trying to give a little more credit to those at the front end who lost part of their stuff in last year and those at the back end who lost part of their stuff in the year coming. So I think I'm pretty happy with the final list as I put it together. I did some of it during the week. Well, I picked out the albums that I wanted to, and then I kind of organized them a bit, and then kind of thought about them and went back and checked my playlists to see how they did and how strong they were at the time. And then eventually I just came down and I put the list together. So this was kind of tough, especially the top two albums. One of them was on the playlist at the beginning of the year, the other one on the playlist towards the end of the year. And I wanted to make sure they got full force here. So anyways, I end up picking the one I thought was number one, giving it its due credit. Didn't get as much credit as it should have initially, but I decided it deserved full credit. So I got my list here. So we're going to give them to you the way I always do, which is from my least favorite of the 25 on this list to my most favorite of the 25 on the list, or worst to first, 25th to first, whatever you want to call it. And just remember, a lot of these albums I love. There's no bad albums here because these are the top 25 of all the ones that were on the playlist. I think there was probably close to 50 albums in my playlist this year. So these are the top half, so to speak. I like every one of them, just like some of them more, but you have to put them in an order otherwise. It's the way it is. The chickens always have an order. If there's 10 chickens, there's number 1 chicken, there's a number 10 chicken. It's always the way it is. So anyways, I'm going to give them to you. One of the biggest surprises for me in doing this list is how much metal and hard rock have come back into my life. The first 2 years, I was pretty much dedicated to the prog thing, and now I've kind of the metal and the hard rock have come back a little bit here. So, anyways, we're going to start with the number 25 album. It comes off of my Wooden Nickel collection, and it is Styx 2. Now, the other album that was in this will be in my honorable mention, which is Serpent Rising, because it's still kind of on my playlist, so I don't know if I like it as much as Styx 2. I like it a lot, but maybe Styx 2 is just a little bit more cohesive, I guess might be the word to describe it. So it's going to be my number 25 album for my list. The next up is my number 24, and this comes from Pete Townshend and his Empty Glass album. I think the Styx album and this one are pretty close. I think I gave this one just a little bit more of an edge because I remember listening to it a lot more than I do the Styx album. Although I like the Styx album, I just think this one was just a tiny bit better. So it's going to be number 24. Number 23 from Supertramp, their debut album. I love the cover. The album's currently still in my playlist. And you can see my playlist spot is almost half empty because half of the albums are in this playlist. That's how strong it is right now for me. So anyway, Supertramp's debut album coming here at number 23. This is a good album. It continues to grow on me. It's not doing it's not getting in the top spots or anything like that because the albums that are ahead of it are very strong. But it's a solid album. It's got a bit of a Genesis feel to it too. I feel like it feels like a Trespass album. It doesn't sound like a Trespass album, but it feels like that same as it was released the same year. And it just has that kind of almost pastoral sound to it like Trespass did. And I loved Trespass. I like this one quite a bit too. So it's going to come in here, number 23. Number 22, I'm going to go with the Scorpions in Trance. This is a strong album. One of the strong metal albums that I've listened to this year. This is a band that I kind of didn't follow much early on. I did have the Blackout album. I followed that kind of. I didn't own the Blackout album. My friend had both of them, but I kind of followed that era a bit. But I always found it kind of commercial sounding. But it doesn't have that at all. And this is fantastic. I wish I'd come into them on this. It probably would be among my favorite bands now. So that's number 22 in Trance. Number 21, kind of the same thing here. This one has been off the playlist for a while, but that one's still currently in the playlist. I kind of wasn't sure whether I like that one a little more than this one. But ultimately, anything with Bill Bruford on it is going to probably end up a little higher if that's the deciding factor. So this is King Crimson's Lark's Tongues and Aspic. I love the cover. Let's see if I can get closer so you can see it. Yeah, just a fantastic album. Lots of really complex musicianship on this. Some great tunes. I would say this is one of my better albums that I like by them. So anyways, Lark's Tongues and Aspic from King Crimson, number 21. Number 20, this is an album that hasn't been on my playlist for a while, but it's still strong. It did have a little bit, I think the thing that kind of hurt it a bit was that I was familiar with some of the songs quite a bit, so it kind of burned out a little quicker than it should have been. I probably could have put this slightly higher, but I wanted it on my list for sure, and that's Never Surrender by Triumph. Triumph's been having a renaissance with me this year, for sure. There's a nice shot of the album. Sorry, it's backwards still. Haven't figured that out. Keep trying, but I just can't seem to get it, so I'm going to have to get somebody to show me. Got a couple people that might be able to do that. So number 20 was Never Surrender by Triumph. Number 19, I think, edged it out just slightly. Did pretty well for me when it was on my playlist, and really has cemented this band as a band I like a lot. That's Steely Dan. This is their debut album. Sorry, Can't Buy a Thrill. Yeah, you can pretty much figure out what the thrill is they're trying to buy here. So that's number 19. Number 18. I actually thought this album would do much better. I rushed out to get it because I really liked it when I did. I did a couple of things with it on the channel, and I decided I really liked it. And it's Clutches with Straws from Marillion. I thought it was going to end up being easily my favorite Marillion album, but I don't know. Maybe I listened to it too much, or maybe it had too much competition on my playlist. Hard to say why, or it might have been just that time period. But it didn't do as well as I thought. But still, excellent album, and comes here at number 18. Number 17 is currently on my playlist, just edging out this last album by a hair. But this one's doing pretty well. It's actually growing on me more as I listen to it. Wobblers, Dwellers of the Deep. I did do an episode on this on recent album releases if you want to go back and see the more details on this album. Just fantastic album. Really good. Very early 70s sound. Very Yes-like. The vocals are very Yes-like as well. If you like Yes, you're going to like these guys. Trust me. Number 16, this is a band that if you like Genesis, you're going to like this band. This album is very different from the first one I played, but I love this a lot. Seventh House from IQ. Very colorful album. The songs are good. This is a very solid album. I don't know if it's as good as some of the other stuff I've listened to them, but I still like it a lot. Yeah, definitely deserves to be on this list. So Seventh House from IQ is number 16. Number 15, this was on earlier in my playlist. I don't know if it's my favorite by these guys, but it's one of the favorites for sure, and that's Warrior at the Edge of Time from Hawkwind. The art aside is fantastic, but the album is very strong. I believe it's the last one with Lemmy Kilmister on it, but the art is just fabulous on here. Very 70-ish sounding. Very typical Hawkwind, very spacey, lots of rhythmic stuff going on, very riffy and catchy riffs all the way. A lot of really solid stuff on here. So Hawkwind's Warrior at the Edge of Time, number 15. Number 14, Stained Class from Judas Priest. I've begun my exploration of Judas Priest this year, going back into discs that I've never had before, or never owned before. I never got about 10 Judas Priest albums. My intent is to get them all. This one was the first one of those from the 1970s stuff when they're still more or less hard rock with some metal elements to their music. But this is a fantastic album. Just some real killer tracks in here. Classic sound. Really killer riffs. So Judas Priest Stained Class here at number 14. Next up, this is the first of two albums by this band on the list. I've got a couple of other bands like that too, but this is the first of two from the Songs and Tales of Iowa. This is The Chronicles of Father Robin. This is book 3. So it's currently on my playlist right now. I have a feeling this ultimately will be the best of the 3 albums. Still got to work its way through. The other album did very well, so it's going to have to work hard to get there. But this one, Magic Chronicles is the title. A really good album, really solid. Just fantastic stuff. So that's my number 13. So now we're in the top 12 here. This one, of course, we all know. Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes from Eloy. This is very Floydish. The more I listen to this, the more it's so Floydish. Even the vocalist they use, the operatic vocalist they use, so Dark Side of the Moonish, right? It's just so Pink Floydish. Yeah. I know some people don't really like that. They prefer they don't like people that copy other bands, but nowadays it's going to be difficult for bands to come out and not copy other bands because everything's pretty much done. But this band was around during that time of Floyd. They may at some point done better on Floyd stuff than Floyd did. So that's Eloy. And that's their Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes album. That's number 12. Now, number 11, Jailbreak. I think I gave this one the edge over that last album. Even though that's still currently in my playlist, I just think this album was just a little bit stronger. Didn't last as long as the Eloy album, but did better when I had it. Just some really classic Thin Lizzy stuff here. Some of my favorite Thin Lizzy stuff on here as well. The Emerald and Jailbreak, the opening end and the back end. So the bookends are like really solid. There's a lot of stuff in the middle that's really strong too. So Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak, they don't get enough credit. And this is a fantastic album. So that's my number 11. Now we're getting into the top 10. We're going to start out with the first of 3 by this band. Heavy Horses, Jethro Tull. Came out at that same period of Songs for the Wood, so I had very high expectations of it. Maybe too high. I don't think it quite achieved it, but it's still a really good album with lots of really solid Jethro Tull sound from maybe my favorite era of the band. Just really killer album. Maybe didn't do as well for me because of the other 2 Tull albums were in my playlist at the same time, but still really good. I'll get up close so you can see it. Ian Anderson there between 2 horses. Yeah, excellent album. So that's number 10. So number 9, from one of my favorite bands of all time. Probably the first album I've had by them really to do this well for a long time, and that's Black Sabbath 13. I did like this a lot. I know some people have knocked it. I mean, it's very melodic, very heavy. A little bit more commercial sounding than some of their old stuff, but Ozzy sounds great. The band's really melodic sounding. That's the way I like my Sabbath, melodic and heavy. So that's my number 9. Number 9. Number 8 might come as a surprise to people who don't know I really followed this band, but I love this album by Camel, their debut. I would say it might be my favorite of their albums. I don't have Mirage, so it maybe not a fair assessment, but Mirage is the one I've been looking for. But I have some of the other stuff, and there'll be some more stuff going into my playlist. But of the ones I've listened to, Nude, Moonless Night, the Snow Goose one, and this one I like the best quite a bit. Just it really kind of surprised me how much I liked it. So anyways, it's going to be in the top 10, and it's going to come here at number 8. Number 7, this one actually won my new albums released in 2024, and that's Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. It did pretty well against some heavy albums from the past too, but I like it a lot. Just really cementing my interest in Judas Priest and in metal in general. This album was kind of really putting me back in that mode, and I love the artwork on here too. Fabulous. So that's number 7. Number 6 is the other album from the Fathers of Chronicles of Father Robin, the Songs and Tales of Aoya, book 1. This is the first book. The album cover on this is so vastly better than the other 2, but the song's really good. This is a strong album. The other one I think might end up being better, but for now this one is going to be in my top 6 albums for my playlist for this year. Just a fantastic album, number 6. Now I'm just going to move these out of the way so that I can do these top 5 without interference here. The stack is getting kind of heavy. So the top 5, I think, are separated from the rest by quite a bit. These are easily, I think, the best 5 albums that I've been listening to in my playlist this year. Not a lot separating from top to bottom. At least the next 3 are all pretty close, and then the top 2 are very close to each other. So this next one, Stormwatch, the second Jethro Tull album we're talking about here. This is a great album. Lots of heavy bass, really catchy riffs. The drumming is fantastic. Martin Barre is fantastic on this. I love this album cover. The songs are really catchy. Very Jethro Tull sounding. Just a great album. So it's going to come here at number 5. And that was a hard choice because I like the other one too, Broadsword and the Beast, which is going to be number 4. So I was flipping back and forth between these two. And I just think that there's just a little bit more going on here. But it's so minuscule, you could easily flip them back again. It's not really worth making a huge separation issue about it. But this has Beastie on it. Flying Colors, Broadsword. There's just so much goodness. Like, there's no bad songs on here. And then you also get all of this extra stuff because this is the Masters reissued version of it. Just a killer album. The album cover, actually, for both of these albums is fantastic. Two of the better covers. I think I just like this one just a hair more. That's all. Not much. I love the artwork on this. Fantastic. So that's your 5th and 4th. Number 3, maybe a month ago, this might have been, I think, first, would have been what it was going to be first, but a couple of these other albums, well, I don't know if it was going to be first, but it was definitely a strong album. And we're talking about Caravans in the gray and pink. I love the artwork, as we already know. I've talked about it many times. Fantastic. The music is kind of quirky, progressive, lots of instrumentation going on. I love his vocal sound. He has some kind of an odd vocal sound, but it's so good. This album doesn't really sound like anything else to me. And all the songs are so catchy. Like, I just find myself singing them all the time. This is a fantastic album. Could still end up being my favorite of all the albums that we've done this year. See how much longevity it has. But I think it's, so far I've got like 3, maybe the top 3 or 4 that we've done at this point. This will be the 5th one. And, the ones that were coming ahead, they all have really good chances to be masterpieces for me at when their time comes, when they've done their 3 years. Yeah, just great album. Can't talk about it enough. Next two, this was a tough decision because I love both of these albums. There are so many good tracks. They're both heavy. This has really established that hard rock metal feeling for me again. Bringing back one of these bands brought it back. I used to love this band a lot, and I kind of drifted away from them from about... So I kind of had an era with them early on, and then another one in the 90s, and then I kind of drifted away for a while, and I thought, kind of used them up. I probably won't go back. But then this album was given to me as a selected album. Then I bought it, and it took a while for it to catch root, but now I just absolutely love it. I'm talking about Iron Maiden's No Prayer for the Dying, currently my favorite album. I didn't want to be biased, though, and because it's currently my favorite album, and put it at the top. It had to earn it, and the other album, I think, earned it. But this is a great album. I think easily going to be a masterpiece. May end up eventually being my favorite Iron Maiden album. That's going to be tough because there's some real heavy challengers here. Anyways, I love the picture of them at the back here. The album cover is great, typical Iron Maiden cover. Another nice shot of them in here with the album. This is a very heavy album. Every track is great. Some of them greater than great, but just absolutely killer album. Love it. So Iron Maiden's Prayer for the Dying will be number 2. Number 1, Uriah Heep's Chaos in Color. Yeah, this came out last year. Didn't really get its due last year because I didn't get into it till towards the end of the year. So put it in my playlist. I think it's been on my playlist. I think it was in the playlist the longest of any album this year. Did very well, beating out some heavy competition from the 3 Tull albums. Just such a killer album, man. And to beat out that Iron Maiden album, that's saying something. I didn't think anything was going to beat that until I started really thinking about it. I thought, this album had the same kind of impact with me. All the tracks on here are so absolutely great. Save Me Tonight, Silver Sunlight, Hail the Sunrise. Yeah, fantastic. One Nation, One Sun, Golden Light, You Never Be Alone, Fly Like an Eagle. This is not the Fly Like an Eagle from Steve Miller either. This is such a great, great tune. There's just nothing bad on this album. To me, it's a near perfection. Definitely, of all the albums that I've been listening to this year, this one has the best chance to become a masterpiece when its time comes. I love the color on here too. Hence the name Chaos in Color, eh? Yeah, just I personally think this is their best album they've ever done. I know that's saying a lot. They've done a lot of good stuff, but I just personally love this album. I love this package. I love this color. I love everything about it. To me, this had to be number one, and so it is. Okay, so that's my top 25 albums for the albums that were in my playlist for this year, for 2024. So I decided to do it the first day of the year to give homage to last year's playlist. I love this playlist. I play it all the time. And the good thing about the playlist now is as I get more and more albums, it's getting harder for albums to get into the playlist. I used to just, when I buy a new one, it would go in a playlist automatically. Or if I bought an album, I'd put them all in the playlist automatically. Not so much anymore. Now I listen to them and I say to myself, can I get 3 months of listening out of this? And if I can't, they don't get put in a playlist. I just put them aside and they play them once in a while. And then if something changes, I put them in. But now it's getting tougher. So now I have that's why the top half of this playlist is all in this top 25, because it's much harder to get in my playlist now than it used to be. So I'm just going to reiterate them once. We'll do them from ascending order now down. Uriah Heep's Chaos in Color, last year's album. Iron Maiden's No Prayer for the Dying. This was the first one in I think it was 1990. Caravan. This is my first Caravan album in the Land of Grey and Pink from Caravan, number 3. Number 4, Broadsword and the Beast from Jethro Tull. Number 5, Stormwatch from Jethro Tull. So it's 2 in the top 5 for Jethro Tull. They had a great year. I now consider them to be like my second favorite band. The first of 2 by this band. So this will be number 6. The Song and Tales of Aoria. I can never say Aoria. Book 1 of the Chronicles of Father Robin. Next up, number 7, Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. Number 8, the debut album from Camel. Number 9, Black Sabbath's 13. Number 10, Tull's Heavy Horses. Imagine Heavy Horses is the third Tull album, and they're finishing third. That's scary. Number 10. Number 11, Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. Eloy's Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes is in number 12. Number 13 is the other album by the Chronicles of Father Robin. This is the Songs and Tales of Aoria, Book 3, Magic Chronicles. Number 14, Stained Glass from Judas Priest. That's their second album this year. Hawkwind in number 14. Number 15, Hawkwind's Warriors at the Edge of Time. Number 16, The Seventh House by MyQ. Number 17, Wobblers, Dwellers of the Deep. Number 18, Clutches at Straws from Marillion. Number 19, Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. Number 20, Never Say Die. Wrong band. Never Surrender from Triumph. That's number 20. Number 21, King Crimson's Lark's Tongues and Aspic. Number 22, The Scorpions in Trance. Number 23, Supertramp's debut. Number 24, Pete Townsend and his Empty Glass. And last but not least, The Styx from the Wooden Nickel collection, Styx 2. And the other one probably has a chance, it just barely got missed out by him. So the other albums that I didn't include that kind of make my honorable mentions. I had about another 20 or so, but I decided I just picked about 5 or 6, 7. Actually, there's 7 of them here. So the first one is Veil from Drifting Sun. Excellent album. Love the cover. I think that album will come back and get in a playlist again. It didn't really get a fair shake last time, and I was kind of not in the right frame for it when it came on. So I'm going to give it another chance at some point. The other next album, Eye in the Sky from Alan Parsons Project. I liked this so much, and this guy grew on me so much this year that I decided to buy some more Alan Parsons. I'm looking for it. I think I like the new one better than this one. So, well, it's not really new, but from Alan Parsons it is for me. The next one up is In Search of Time and Space, another Hawkwind album. This is not the new one that came out this year. This is the other one with the almost identical title that's older, but I like this quite a bit. Aladdin Sane from David Bowie. This was an album that almost made it too. There's about 3 or 4 of them at the bottom that I was thinking, well, which of these? There's like 2 spots left, and which of these 5 albums get in there? And this one just missed out. So Aladdin Sane is David Bowie. Serpent Rising from Styx. I decided I liked Styx too just a little more, so that's probably why it won the last spot. A Beatles album, Hard Day's Night. It's been in my playlist. It came out kind of late for me. I put it in my playlist kind of late. I think that's the reason why it didn't really get. I want to give it the kind of notoriety. Some of these other albums have been there for a while. So, and then the last one was Pink Floyd's Saucer Full of Secrets. I do like this album a lot. I had a big expectation of it, and it just kind of didn't really do anything with the expectation. It just kind of stayed there. It still was good, but I thought it would be much better than it was, so I was a little bit disappointed with it. But anyways, that's my top 25 and the honorable mentions. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of my 25 favorite albums from my playlist for 2024. Please, if you like or you want to comment about any of the albums, or you want to give me your list, that's fine. Or you want to question my insanity for some of my picks, you can do all that in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell above my head so you don't miss any episodes. And please hit the like and subscribe. Those 2 things help the channel the most. People tell me I should say that at the beginning, but I never remember that kind of stuff until I get to the end. Well, maybe I'll come up with some kind of change to change it up. Anyways, I'm glad to have you all here today. I'm glad that you've followed my channel. The 1 or 2 dozen people that regularly comment on here, that is most appreciated. Thank you very much. And we will be back next Wednesday favorites. We're going to be doing a ranking of the Beatles discography. I'm now ready to do it. I feel comfortable with my picks the way I have them. It's really tight. All the Beatles albums from the bottom to the top, there is not much separating them. You know, this is the disc more than any other discography. This can flip around in 1 minute, but I'm pretty comfortable with the way it is right now. So we're going to go with that next week on Wednesday Night Favorites. I hope to see you then. So take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.